Want to learn how to open a US LLC as a foreigner in 2025? Here's a step-by-step breakdown of what you need to know to register a business in the States and get your US LLC up and running. Hi, my name is John Pastor, co-founder of Nonresident Investor. Welcome to our channel, where we cover various topics about investing in US real estate, company formation, and other subjects that are of interest to international entrepreneurs. Here at NRI, among many things, we specialize in helping foreigners from all around the world open LLCs in the US. Today, I want to talk about the process and what it entails. Hopefully, by the end of the video, assuming you pay close attention, you'll be able to open an LLC in the States all on your own. Before we start, I'd like to ask you to please like, share, and subscribe to our channel if you end up enjoying this video and finding it helpful. Number 1, figure out US source income and choose a state. Now, first things first, before you do anything, you need to figure out whether your business has US source income or not. This is really important, as it will determine in which state you can open a company and whether you have to pay taxes in the US. For example, if you have a physical business, let's say a shop or a restaurant, or if you own a rental property physically located in America, you'll more than likely earn US source income. In that case, you'll have to open an LLC in the state in which your business is in. You own an Airbnb in Miami, you'll have to go open an LLC in Florida. You own a restaurant in Chicago, you'll have to open an LLC in Illinois, and so on. You get the picture. The reason why you have to do this is because all US source income is taxable. And the best way to ensure you're not breaking the law, either state or federal, is open an LLC in the state where your business is located. On the other hand, if you don't have any US source income, you'll get to choose which state you open your LLC. And you won't have to pay taxes in the US. In some cases, companies that don't have US source income are digital businesses operating outside the US, like IT companies and various service providers. If you own one, I would recommend opening an LLC in Wyoming or Delaware, as they're the two best states for foreigners without US source income. If you want to learn about why we picked those two states and how you can choose the best US state for your specific situation, feel free to check out our video on those topics. We'll leave the link down in the description. Number 2, pick a name and make sure it's available. The second thing you have to do is pick a name for your US LLC, and you got to make sure it's available. To check the availability of the name, you'll have to visit a dedicated government site, unique for each state. For example, if you want to open an LLC in Wyoming, you'll have to visit the Wyoming Secretary of State's website to see if the name you picked is unused. If you want to open an LLC in Florida, you'll have to check out Florida's Department of State website, and so on. After you settle on the name, it's time to move on to the third step. Number 3, getting a registered agent. To open an LLC in any US state, you need to have some sort of physical address. That's where registered agents come into play. Their job is to manage all correspondence between your LLC and various government agencies, and to provide your LLC with a physical address in the US. They usually charge a small yearly fee for this service. Having a registered agent is also a good way to safeguard your privacy. And on top of that, they'll scan all the documents your LLC receives and send them to your email. This makes it way easier to manage your records and various other documentation. Step number 4, register your US LLC. Most US states have a dedicated website that you can use to register an LLC. To start off, you'll need to prepare the name of your LLC, address, some personal information, as well as information about your registered agent. You can do the registration yourself, or in some cases, you can ask your registered agent to do it for you. A lot of them also offer company formation services. Alternatively, you can go with someone like NRI, a one-stop shop for foreigners looking to start a business, invest, and succeed in the US market. Whatever you choose is up to you. Now, after the online registration form is complete, depending on which state you choose, you might have to wait. For example, in Florida, the wait time can be between 7 to 10 work days, while in Wyoming, it's no longer than a couple minutes. Now, let's move on to step number 5. Fill out articles of organization. After the waiting period is over, which will depend on the state you've picked, you'll receive a document called Article of Organization. This document is important as it proves that you're the owner of a registered LLC with a specific name and address. And you'll also need this document for the next step. Number 6, get an EIN. EIN, or Employer Identification Number, is a 9-digit number issued by the IRS to all LLCs registered in the US. The main purpose of an EIN is to help the US government distinguish companies for taxation and other legal reasons. You also need an EIN to open a US bank account, but more on that later. There are 2 ways to apply for an EIN. The first one is really easy and fast, but you need to have either a US Social Security number or an individual taxpayer identification number. If you have one of those, getting an EIN is really straightforward and can be done in a couple of minutes via the IRS online portal. However, most foreigners don't have an SSN or ITIN, which complicates things a lot. In this case, to get an EIN, you'll need to file the SS4 form. You can technically download the form online, but you can't send it that way. The whole system is a bit, let's say, old school, and the only way to send the SS4 form to the IRS is via a fax. Yeah, I know, but it is what it is. After you send the form in, you'll have to wait between 2 weeks and a month, sometimes a bit longer. So what are you waiting on? You're waiting for the IRS to send you a letter accepting your EIN application and giving you an EIN or rejecting the whole thing. Now, the last thing you want to do is get rejected, because that would mean you have to send in the EIN application again, deal with the fax, and wait another couple weeks. That's why you need to make sure everything that you do on your EIN application is done correctly. Check the spelling, addresses, names. Make sure all the fields in the application are complete. After you do all that, check it one more time just for good measure. And then check it a third time to make sure you got it right. Why is this necessary? Well, if you miss a single field in the application or make a single spelling error, your application will get rejected, and you'll end up having to wait an additional 2 to 4 weeks to receive a letter from the IRS. Now, while you wait for the EIN letter to arrive, you'll have just enough time to deal with another important thing, and that's your LLC's operating agreement. Step number 7, create an operating agreement. Getting your operating agreement sorted out is one of the most crucial steps in opening an LLC. The agreement outlines the entire management structure of your business, various responsibilities, operating procedures, and more. It defines the rights and obligations and is especially important when an LLC has more than a single member. There are many ways to create one. You can try to get a lawyer, you can do it yourself, or you can get in touch with a company that deals with operating agreements on a daily basis. A company like, I don't know, Nonresident Investor. Joking aside, we've opened hundreds of US LLCs over the years, and we know exactly what we're doing. So, if you need any help with company formation or operating agreements, book a free call, and we'll go from there. Step number 8, opening a US bank account. Once you get your EIN, it's time for step number 8, opening a US bank account for your business. There are 3 ways to do this. The first one, we call the old-fashioned way, involves packing your bags, getting all the documents ready, and traveling to the US to have an in-person meeting at the bank of your choosing. A lot of, let's call them regular banks, have an unwritten rule that basically states, always meet your clients. And they mean it literally, especially the big banks like Wells Fargo, Chase, or Bank of America. To get an account with them, you'll need to fly to the US and deal with the whole process from there. We know that this isn't ideal for a lot of foreigners. You'll not only have to cover the cost of traveling and staying in the US, but also, getting an account is not guaranteed, meaning you can spend a lot of money and end up with a whole lot of nothing at the end of it. However, when it comes to safety, it's always better to open an account with a regular bank. If you plan to open a physical business in the US or own rental property, you'll probably have to travel to the States at some point. Because of that, our advice is that if you have the opportunity, it's best to open an account with a regular bank. Now, if you don't have the chance to travel to the US, your next best option is to try to get one of the regular banks to accept an online call instead of meeting you in person. This is a bit trickier to accomplish, but can be done. If none of that works out, your next option, and the most popular option, is to try to get an account with an online bank. A lot of foreigners like this option because it can be more convenient and cheaper. You don't have to travel anywhere and the whole process can be done online. However, we have to mention opening an account with an online bank has become increasingly difficult over the past year or so. You see, a lot of these banks are regularly changing their regulations and updating their requirements. They require more and more information from clients and are rejecting an increasing number of people. And, in rare cases, they're closing accounts of their existing clients. This can lead to a lot of problems, because without a bank account, you can't use a payment processor, and without that, well, your LLC is basically worthless. That's why it's extremely important to do this part correctly. You don't want to open an account just to lose it in a couple of years. At NRI, we have a close working relationship with over 20 different US banks, both regular and online, and we can help you open and keep your US bank account for years to come. Get in touch with us and we'll connect you with a bank that's right for you based on your type of business, your yearly income, and the type of clients you have. Step number 9, file the BOI report. To finish the process of opening a US LLC as a foreigner, all you have to do is file the Beneficial Ownership Information Report, or BOI for short. You need to file this report within the first 30 days of your LLC formation. If you don't, there's a big chance you'll end up paying fines. Why risk it if you can avoid it? Make a note of that because the rest of the process is relatively easy. You can complete the BOI online via the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network website. It's completely free, and all you have to do is input the correct information. Once you're done with that, your US LLC will be ready to go. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you did and want to support us with our work, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. If you have any suggestions on how we can improve or a subject you want us to cover, we'd love to hear from you. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below. Also, before we leave you, take note that once you open an LLC, you have to file various tax forms each year. And yes, you must do this even if you don't have to pay taxes in the US. Paying doesn't really matter in this case, you still need to file appropriate forms. If you don't, you risk getting penalties up to $25,000. We have a video that covers all this, the link is in the description below. That's it for today. Once again, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video on the Non-Resident Investor channel.